Today is Thursday, February 11th, 2016, and the title of this rant will be Cliven Bundy Goes Down, Bundy Reunion in Jail. So I had a rant on this just the other day that it was time for this whole thing to end. There had been reports that Cliven was going to come up today to try and help negotiate or help those people who are at the refuge, the 4 remaining holdouts. But in my own mind, and I didn't discuss this, was how they might be able to take him down. And the one thing I didn't think of was that I'd never thought that Cliven would take a plane, because you couldn't have any guns on planes. And if he couldn't have any guns on planes, then he'd be easy fodder to get picked up if he showed up. And apparently that's exactly what happened. He took a plane. He flew to Portland, he got into the airport, and the FBI was waiting there and just nabbed him right away. They took him to jail. He's probably in the same jail cell or right next to his sons. There are going to be multiple charges against him, federal charges. Chances of him getting bail are probably worse than what his sons are, chances of getting bail. But I guess, I never would have thought he would have flown. So silly me that the mentality of someone like Cliven, that he actually thought that he could go up there and do this without arms, so to speak. Now, I know that in the 2 years since the standoff in wherever it was, Utah, I guess, that he has had armed guards with him. He has had bodyguards or whatever armed around him for periods of time. I don't know if it's been the whole time or not. And of course, I was a little upset that the FBI or whomever it was going to be, the Bureau of Land Management, Fish and Wildlife Service, part of the Department of Interior, whatever, hadn't nailed Cliven at this point in time. But they do have long memories, and they will get their man, so to speak, and they did get their man. And as I said, he will get multiple charges. He's already been convicted because he was convicted that he needed to pay that $1 million in grazing fees back, which he never has. And then, of course, with the standoff and all of that stuff, multiple charges. He may not see freedom in his lifetime. So, and I'm sort of really glad that this is sort of finally coming out at the same time, because supposedly today, it's a little bit after 8 a.m. in Oregon as I'm speaking right now. And they haven't given up. There's lots of tweets going back and forth. Nothing definitive has happened. There's that state congresswoman from, I don't know, the Nevada or wherever, and she's tweeting. The other people are tweeting. Billy Graham's son, the real religious hypocrite, is going to be there, maybe to bring peace. Hopefully this all ends peacefully. Let's hope it all ends today. If it all ends today, then we're going to have multiple charges and no bail for Cliven. We have multiple charges for Amon and his brother Ryan. They're not getting out anytime soon. I don't see any bail coming out for any of them. I don't see a trial starting for a long period of time, a year or 2 years, because it's going to take that long to get everything together to have the trial. I would presume that they're going to be convicted, and they should get the book thrown at them. Now, I know that all, let's just say, liberals are happy about this, and conservatives really aren't that happy about this. And I don't really see the conservatives making that big a stink. They'll throw some verbal attacks at it, but they won't do anything about it. In fact, I don't think I've really heard much from the GOP presidential candidates on this at all, except that we need to have a peaceful solution to this whole thing. Because they want to stay out about that. Because even someone as far right as Cruz knows that this whole band of marauders, of whatever you want to call them, this 10th Amendment group, this sovereign citizen group, this states' rights group, they're a very, very small fringe element in society in general. They are not associated just with the Western states, but predominantly in the Western states. And they always seem to go off to these far corners and start their little colonies, so to speak. And of course, they all have guns. And that's their calling card, is that they all have guns. And they claim that they're willing to use the guns. Now, I will make a big claim right here, right now. I don't see any of them going to try and do a jailbreak for Cliven and his sons. I don't see that happening. They don't have the balls for that. All right, they can talk a big game. All right, and they show up at this one little place where there's nobody there. And of course, the only reason why they could stay there is because they were armed, and they said that they were armed, and they said that they would use their arms to defend their freedom, so to speak. So it's a lot in the Western states. It's in these really, really rural areas. They're not going to do a jailbreak on Cliven and them. They're not going to, when it comes to the big cities, they don't handle the big cities well, because you can't carry around your rifle and act that way in the big cities and bully your way around like the Bundys have been doing and these other people have been doing. And as I said, they're very strong believers in what they believe in, this whole thing. And but they're very, very few in numbers. And there might be a little bit of a stink, but they're going to have their little rallies in these small towns. They're not going to go into Portland and wave their guns around. That's not going to happen. And if they do, the police will be there the whole time just to make sure everything is okay. And what was the one last thing I wanted to say about them is that if the Bundys don't see light of day, they'll find someone else to do that same type of bidding for them. They'll rally around that person, Cliven and Lavoy and Ryan and what's the other one, Amon. They'll all be some type of angels. They'll be martyrs for the cause. And there is that small fringe element that will stay out there. But this thing it's basically, all this whole thing is basically in the Western states is a power grab so that individuals can profit off the land. That's all it really is. Forget. We don't want to pay grazing rights. We don't want to pay timber rights. We don't want to pay mining rights. We don't want to pay anything for any of that. We want to steal the land. We want to keep it amongst ourselves, and we want to profit off of all of that. That's basically what this whole episode has been about. And this is why Lavoy died, for his freedom, so that he could steal land that belongs to the American people.